Hello, everyone. I'm Riana Milne, and I am very pleased to present a good friend of mine and colleague who does phenomenal work in trauma. And today we are discussing how trauma affects relationships for singles, couples, and in business. And I have Louise, Dr. Louise Swartswalter, with me. And I would like to start by reading her phenomenal bio. It goes on and on, but I'm going to share just a bit with you. And we're going to have a mutual conversation about how we can help you best. So you'll learn some tips from Dr. Louise and from Riana, and when Louise interviews me. And we really hope that you can get some profound, great information for yourself and those that you love. Okay, so for over 20 years, Dr. Louise Swartswalter has been helping transform lives individually and in groups using a unique multidimensional approach, including naturopathy, biofeedback, trauma release work, NLP, life coaching, and energy work. Louise is the owner and founder of the Albuquerque Natural Health Center and the creator of the Brain System, a 5-step healing program serving clients worldwide. She is passionate about connecting, clearing blocks to success, and helping others achieve their optimal health and highest potential. Using a combination of tools, Louise has helped people move from the anxiety to calm in one session. Dr. Swartswalter's unique multidimensional approach has helped over 45,000 clients the last 20 years reach success in their lives. Dr. Louise enjoys speaking and teaching globally and has shared with audiences on KOB TV, Good Day New Mexico, and KOB Radio. Welcome, Dr. Louise. I'm so happy that you scheduled this time to talk with me and our mutual clients.
Yes, thank you so much, Riana. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm really excited to share some information that will help people today. So
great.
I so look forward to this time together. So thank you for inviting me.
Sure.
Yeah. And now I'll go ahead and introduce Riana. Amazing transformations happen with this woman. So if you don't know Riana, I am so pleased to introduce all of you to her today. Riana Milne is a certified global life, love, and relationship coach, licensed mental health counselor, a certified clinical trauma and addictions professional, and a #1 best-selling Amazon author of 2 books, Love and Life Beyond Your Dreams. She's a life and dating coach for the new TV documentary series show, Radical Dating, Finding Lasting Love Over 40, which will be released in September. Wow, coming up here, 2017. Riana's been an educational speaker on personal transformation topics for over 38 years. She teaches how to face and overcome past pain, trauma, fears, anxiety, through conscious self-awareness to develop a positive mindset for success and confidence in all areas of relationships. She specializes in how childhood trauma and unconscious emotional triggers impact adults in life and love, and is passionate about motivating her clients to create loving, positive, emotionally healthy relationships with themselves and others. Riana's been in private practice for over 18 years at her company, Therapy by the Sea in Delray Beach, Florida. She has a free app, My Relationship Coach, and you can find Riana on Facebook at Coach Riana Milne.
Thank you.
It's so great it's just awesome to be. I love what we share. It's like we're on the same page, and I know that people out there are really looking for this work right now. It's just very timely.
Very, that's for sure.
Yes, very timely. You know, I want to ask you, Riana, I know you specialize in helping those going through difficult life transitions and relationships, whether they're single, whether it's exclusive relationships, or they're struggling in business. Mm-hmm. What is the common element of their difficulty, and what led you to this work to begin with?
Well, what led me to the work was a search in my own journey to find emotionally healthy, evolved, and conscious love. And there was no tips I was given in my triple master's program in clinical psychology. And I found that I had to do the research to dig deeper because I had a partner that I didn't understand why he did what he did. And I describe it almost like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Everyone loves Dr. Jekyll, of course, that person in the community that's outstanding and social and outgoing. And then Mr. Hyde from the Broadway show is that hidden personality type, and does very strange things and hurtful things behind people's back. You know, so this could be happening in business, it could be happening as you're dating, or it could be happening in a marriage. So I happen to have one of those partners, and I couldn't understand, how did I miss this? So I went on an extremely detailed research and hunt, and I found that when I got the information I got, it really helped my clients as well. So the common denominator of everyone is that they have unconscious triggers and emotional traumas that had happened during childhood that come out later in your adult life and love relationships and business relationships as well. So what had happened when there's coping mechanisms as a child that little innocent children engage in just to survive some of the emotional and physical traumas that they're enduring. So later in life, however, they become faulty coping mechanisms, and they emerge in the adult as destructive or behavioral patterns that really, really hurt relationships. And it causes a lot of strain, and it creates a lot of drama when somebody's trying to go out and date, and they're not sure what they're looking for, so they may end up with a partner that has trauma, or if they themselves have experienced trauma, they're doing some things that could be like codependency or jealousy or controlling, that's actually going to ruin their chances at love. So the research showed from the Kaiser Permanente and the Disease Control Center that 75% of over 17,000 interviewed have at least one, they call it ACE, or adverse childhood event, that's happened in their life. And there's many more that have over 4 of them. So 1 in 6 people have at least 4 ACEs that occur. Now, again, when these traumas happen, they become deep inside the psyche or the subconscious. So people aren't really aware that these are the toxic patterns coming out from childhood. So this is likely, they're saying the numbers are really raising, that it's closer to even 89-90% of people in the US, and this is where the tests were done, have childhood trauma. So there's a lot of people affected by this, either our listeners or someone that they love, or maybe someone they're dating. But our goal is to help people overcome trauma, of course, recognize it, and in love relationships, how to heal it and move past it. So that's the common element.
Wow, cool. Yeah, no, I see that too. So I totally get it. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Now you became the beautiful brain expert. So why don't you explain how you work with trauma? What are you seeing?
So, I see what you're describing is we just did this actually on a call right now. So I see those same kind of childhood triggers that have to be cleared to create the life that we desire. And how I got to be the beautiful brain expert was I lost my brain power myself. So I got really sick, just like you. It's our own self path. I was on oxygen. I was very sick though, like allergic to everything in the world, oxygen for a few years. Wasn't digesting anything. So I went down very, very thin to about 89 pounds, and I had to get myself healthy again. So the quest to do just the physical body work, like changing my diet and taking supplements and working with chiropractors and nutritionists and everything, got me better, but I still wasn't where I wanted to be. And I realized that there was probably some mental, emotional things I needed to work on. And so I started that whole journey, and I still was better, but not where I wanted to be. And it wasn't until I actually included the energy work in the field. So I work with energy in the field and release those blocks, those traumas, with a brain-soul connection technique that I use. Because I found that the subconscious patterns, just like you found, have to be shifted or changed. Exactly. And I was frustrated with how long it took people to get well. And for myself too. And so I always said, let's do it faster. And I went like, well, what if we could do this faster? And so this brain soul technique released just now today, something at age 6 for a woman who, you know, her brother was born then, and she was jealous, and he was the first boy, and you know, so she held all those emotions in, and we just cleared the block of that. Also, another block we just cleared for her was she remembered when she was 12, her dad had kept some money in a safe upstairs and lost $200, and she found it. And her mother was very critical at the time, saying that he had paid her $2 for finding $200.
Oh,
and it brought up all this stuff for her about, you know, the words her mom had said and how she felt shame and guilt. And she said, I started stealing after that. You know, I didn't feel validated. I didn't feel worthy. And it was my whole pattern of beginning, hey, I don't have the money that I want, or I can't create that in my life. So we just, you know, in one session, just sort of cut the cord, if you will, and cleared that.
Yes, I do that too. In my first module with my clients, I use my psychology background in anxiety, depression, and we look at all the traumas that may have come up, and there's 10 traumas I'll go into, but we name what they are and we examine why they happened, and there's a period of, you know, forgiveness and how can we look at that differently and then move them forward. So my programs, you know, are 6 months, and there's an element of the life coaching and then love coaching for singles to help them find that emotionally healthy partner, and then for the couples to move on together to make themselves both emotionally healthy and then together the relationship healthier. So yeah, there's a lot of working with the brain and the unconscious, making it conscious. Yeah,
right.
Part of it.
Yeah, so it's those brain patterns that I found. So I back it up with like neurobiofeedback. So my brain system really stands for body, releasing the old patterns, aligning with spirit, integrating, and putting in a new program in the energy field. So I found the field work was so important, and didn't know that way back when. And when I started adding that piece in, it seemed to sort of like cut through all the layers. And it was just so amazing, and transformation can happen so quickly. And so that's how the brain system came to be. And because I lost my own brain power and had my phone number written in my wallet, you know, when they didn't have cell phones, my quest was to first get my own brain working again. And then, of course, I've been working with, you know, my clients for the last 20 years here doing the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So perhaps I'll go over the 10 traumas so people will understand what they are. Right, okay, so there's several names that have been called in the past for examining this. The first one, older one, is ACOA, Adult Child of an Alcoholic or Other Childhood Traumas, and there's 10 of them. But the most recent research from the Kaiser Permanente is calling them ACEs, Adverse Childhood Events. So let's go into those. So as a child, remember, every child's very innocent. You only know what is presented to you from mom or dad. So as things become anxiety-ridden, or you're nervous, or you have fears come up as a little child, again, we develop these coping mechanisms. So here are the things that may have happened to you. One, did you have a parent with any kind of addictions? So it's drugs, alcohol, sex, porn, gambling, cheating, hoarding, overeating, overspending, even television watching or gaming, where you just felt ignored and the addiction came first. Second, is there emotional abuse, where you had any kind of neglect, or you were, you know, put away in a closet, or, I mean, I've heard all kinds of stories, you know, just any kind of emotional abuse. The next one is verbal abuse. Now, again, this could have come at you as the child, or you would have witnessed it in a domestic violence situation. So any verbal abuse and emotional abuse in combination. Next one is any physical abuse, rape, or molestation, whether in the family or outside of the family. Next is there any abandonment issues? So Louise, I wanted to ask you, I understand you help business professionals and entrepreneurs release trauma and balance the brain and soul. Can you share a success story with us, or a little bit of how that happens?
Yes, absolutely. So I work with a gentleman who owned a marketing company, and he had a concussion. So, and he had been seeking answers for about 6 months. And he found me, and we worked with a combination of my brain system and biofeedback. So I used biofeedback, neurobiofeedback, as well as what I just demonstrated with releasing the brain-soul connection, the trauma, if you will, of the fall, but of course other traumas too. So I went into the field and we did things at age 6 and other things that were coming up for him. And that combination cleared his brain enough and got him back on track. So it was both things. It wasn't one technique, if you will. But I remember him telling me, he said, I don't know what you did, but it was amazing, because in six months I've made more money now than I have in 2 years after you cleared my brain. And you can see him. His name is Joseph. He's on my YouTube channel. So if you just Google my name, you can look that up.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really neat to see his change. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I know that we want to check in with you again here too, Riana, because you have done such amazing work with people. And I know that you've seen the signs and reactions of someone and their emotional triggers. And I want to know how that really shows up, in dating and love relationships or in business.
Yeah, let's touch on business a little bit. You may have that difficult boss that is very blaming, irrational, angry, fast trigger anger, controlling, just very, very difficult. And you feel like you're walking on eggshells. I say that, around the difficult boss or the difficult partner. And you never know if they're going to explode. And they often make big drama over something that doesn't have to be that much drama. That's a very reactive way that this can show up in the work world, in business. Now, there's two sides personally where I look at people when they have childhood trauma, how it can come out in their careers. One is the one that, let's go back, continue with reactive. They're the ones that have a hard time holding on to a job. They get bored easily, they get frustrated easily, they act out, they don't show up on time, they make mistakes, they can't focus. This is a lot of reactive ways that this can show up on the job. And mostly the number one summary is it's hard for them to hold on to a job. Or just the opposite, they become workaholics. And these are the folks where work becomes part of very much their ego gratification. So if they grew up not feeling good enough or no one paid enough attention, these are the folks often that go into the acting profession, politics. They become heroes. These are the men and women that like to be police officers, soldiers, EMTs, like to be heroes, doctors even. When you look at their background, there's a lot of trauma there very often. So that is a proactive way to deal with someone with childhood trauma. Now, there's another situation I call blurting out. And we can even talk about our president during the interview when he made a remark at one of the female newscasters about she's bleeding from different places. I don't remember the exact quote, but everyone was like, what did he just say? Like, why would he say that? That's a prime example of blurting out. And, he is someone that did come from an alcoholic father and, some trauma as a child. And, but he was very successful in business and in parenting. So very often those that came from difficult parents want to grow up and be outstanding parents, and that is a proactive way to deal with some of the trauma. So whatever trauma did exist in each of my clients' life, again, we examine it, and we turn it around to make it proactive, but with balance, life balance. And we're always examining the balance triangles to make sure there is no addictions, and keeping it in balance. Now, other ways this can show up in love relationships. Again, those with abandonment issues, there's a lot of jealousy because they lack trust of their partner. They're, let's say a woman dating a male, if the father did not show up for his parental visitations, that's the first man she was supposed to trust. So that trust was broken. And, very often there's low self-confidence and they're just not feeling good enough. So they're afraid they may go off to another partner. That also leads to codependency and clinging. Now, a very common trait in women is people pleasing. So if she grew up in a difficult household where there was a lot of yelling and there was emotional and verbal abuse, she might have learned to cope and survive by always pleasing the difficult mom or dad. So she wouldn't be, punished severely, yelled at, screamed at. So that people pleasing is very often a female trait. However, it can be male as well. They can't say no. They have very lax boundaries. And these are the women always getting hurt and say, but I love him. I do everything for him. He does nothing for me. So they have this high expectations of, I'm doing this. Why aren't they doing it? And really it could be overbearing and a lack of their own boundaries. So we look at that. Someone with addiction issues. And again, I'm an addictions professional as well. So we look at why did they become addicted in the first place, which is normally self-medicating with drugs, alcohol, or something else, food, spending, to fill that empty feeling inside because they didn't feel good enough or they didn't receive that love they should have gotten from mom or dad. So that's where I teach reparenting of the self. They start parenting themselves, and that's where I really step into being a mentor of what parenting can be and feel like. So I'd say you don't have to go back into that past and where it was toxic. Stay in the current and learn to love and parent yourself. Another example is cheap drama, which could be at the workplace or in your relationships. And this is an example, let's say even a cultural example. I grew up in the Northeast Philly area. I have a lot of Italian friends, and that was a household with a lot of typically a lot of yelling and shouting, but that was her normal. So her way of communicating is through yelling and drama and, what we call histrionic personality type, which is a lot of drama around something that's very simple. And if she ends up marrying someone who's very calm from a peaceful, loving family, let's say from the Midwest, he's going to say, well, she's yelling at me all the time. And she goes, no, I'm not, because their normals are very different. So again, we have to get them to come to the middle and understand what that looks like, what that means. And then I teach my first degree from Penn State in speech communications. So I go into a lot of communication tools to make communication feel safe and respected and loving, and the form of negotiation. So we teach that. So there's all different ways. Those are just a few examples of how childhood trauma comes out later in life to disrupt your peace and happiness in the workplace or in a love relationship. So
I am sure people can relate to many of those examples that you've said. So just putting that out there for people, I'm sure that they're saying, hey, yeah, that was me. And so thank you. What a great example to people for them to say, hey, maybe I need some help, right?
Yes, correct.
And it's okay to ask for help. In fact, when you invest in yourself, you're investing in your future.
Absolutely.
And why wait?
Well, that's the thing. Once they learn these skills, and I'm sure it's for everything that you teach as well, once they learn these skills, they go with them for the rest of their life. So the sooner we can see these clients, right, in their 20s, and they then take these skills forward and their successes just really open up. There's a lot of fears, and you call it a blockage. I call them fears that are holding them back in life. They're afraid to risk. They have ongoing anxiety or depression they can't seem to get rid of. There's just a lot of just holding back with fears in life. And once we go through this work, they just feel so amazing about their life. They do positive conscious risks that help them really grow in life and love. And it's just so wonderful to see that degree of happiness once they get beyond their traumas.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to bring up the energy field piece just as you're talking. It's kind of coming up again. Sometimes I see a relationship as an I and an us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what I find in the field, in the energy field piece, is that this I gets attachments. And then this person is trying to speak to their spouse, and they're not speaking to their soul truth. They're not speaking to the spouse. They're speaking to these attachments.
Okay.
And those attachments are actually emotions that are stuck in the field that can be ancestral programs of anxiety, I'm not good enough, anger, whatever.
Right.
And then they're not connecting on a soul level anymore. And I actually think that's the reason for divorce. Yeah, I can't say it's in every case, but it's part of it.
They're saying 60% of marriages are divorcing now. It's a lot.
Yeah, and so just like you, my goal is to get people to a place where we're soul truth, your brain soul of who you came here to be is speaking to that other person without the garbage, without the baggage. And I know that all of you out there, even you, Riana, you can feel, everybody else can feel when you're not speaking with your, I don't know if it's your child or your spouse, your partner or your boss, or someone you're working with. It's almost like they're not hearing you, or they're not there, or you become edgy around that energy. That's a sign that there's something that can be released in the field, and get that person back to who they came here to be, so that they can transform and move forward and have the love they want or the business they want.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I know that I just did that we've been doing that with Linda, and I was writing a blog on this today. And it's only been, I counted, it's only been 5 sessions. It has been, as my programs are 6 months to a year long. So it's been less than 6 months. And so we're halfway through, and already there's such transformation and change after releasing those blocks and then putting in sort of the new program, those tools about how now you can relate to yourself and the world.
Yes. I mean, I have a couple that I worked with in New Jersey at my center there. And, he's there. Oh my gosh, Riana, it was so toxic. He was having repeated affairs, and then she'd find out and they'd break up, and he'd beg for her to come back, and then as soon as everything was calm, he'd go back out and cheat again. It was like repetitive for years. And he's finally done with that. And they have like a marriage that he says, I never knew it could be this good. It's better than it's ever been. He goes, I was the one causing it. And you'll see very often, like there's one healthy person, emotionally healthy person, and the other one is bringing in the childhood wounds or the trauma. And eventually the healthy one gets dragged into the drama, and then it becomes very toxic, right? She's trying to be patient or wait or forgives him once, or spiritually, yes, I'll forgive you. But then the constant drama or the lies or the deceit or the secret life that's very common in these relationships, it keeps reoccurring. And until these patterns are stopped, it's going to keep reoccurring.
Right.
So it's really important. The sooner you get help, the better. So, Dr. Louise, you have an offer for our clients and our listeners today. What is that you would like to?
Oh, I would just love to talk. I love connecting with people, so I want to know you better. So, so my offer to you is to get on my website. So it's louiseswartswalter.com, and sign up for a free session with me, a free opportunity, a discovery session to look at where you're blocked and what's your next best move, and how we can work together, how I can help you, have that success and the relationships that you want in your life.
Great. I also have a free life and love transformation strategy session for 1 hour. All you have to do is go to my website. It's rianamilne.com. There'll be a pop-up form. Fill that out. Tell me a little bit of what you're struggling with. The more you tell me, the more I can help you on that call. And I do want to hear a little bit about your story, what's going on for you right now. Tell me if you feel you were suffering from any of the 10 traumas. And let's sit down and let me see how I can help you best. Also on my website page, there's free downloads, about 50 pages from each. Love Beyond Your Dreams, Break Free of Toxic Relationships to Have the Love You Deserve. That's been the #1 bestseller on Amazon. And Live Beyond Your Dreams, From Fear and Doubt to Personal Power, Purpose, and Success. And they are meant to go together. And that's all for that positive mindset for life and love. So I would like to help you the best I can. And also on the go, download the free app, My Relationship Coach. There's tons of articles. So if you're waiting in line somewhere, it's an interesting little ditty to go on and read a helpful article. And you can reach out to me through the app as well. So Louise, I want to thank you for joining me today. And please, those listeners and our clients, share this with your friends that you think needs this information. Anyone that you know is suffering in life, love, or in the workplace, from anybody that is, stuck in toxic, behavioral trauma from their past. Louise and I are here to help you, and we will always wish you to have the life and love that you deserve. Thank you, and have a beautiful day.
Have a beautiful day, everyone.